Welcome back to Mind and Magic. I'm Frater Xavier, and today we're going to be discussing money, which we have talked about a bit in the past, but I was reminded that it is important to understand because we had a Patreon vote for the top tier God Form ritual of the month, and Prosperity in Business won. So even those who can afford $100 a month over at Patreon for that top tier could still use some extra cash. And it's one of the top reasons that people get into magic in the first place. Sex, power, and money. That's typically what the uninitiated begin their journey going after. So I'm hoping that we can get this handled today. So let's get into it.
Yeah, boy.
Most of what you've been taught about money is completely backwards. Beginning with understanding what money is. Because how are you going to get more of something if you don't understand what it is that you want more of? Now, when you ask the typical person what money is, they'll probably tell you it's a measurement of the exchange of goods and services, blah, 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 blah. And while that's technically correct, it still doesn't get down to the root of what money actually is. And then I have said that money is a representation of the time and energy, typically known as man-hours, your labor that you have done and stored up. And that's technically true as well. Somebody wanted to argue the point with me that money isn't energy. Well, technically everything is energy if it has atoms. But that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about man-hours, your labor. But I want you to think of money a different way. And this is probably the best way to understand money. And that is that money is really a representation of the service that you have provided others. A lot of people say that rich people are selfish. No, poor people are selfish. What you've been told is backwards because poor people contribute nothing. They provide service to no one. They do not do things for other people. They do not solve problems for other people. That is why they are poor. Rich people, on the other hand, provide services to society. That's how they become rich. And the more people that they serve, the richer they become. So in order to become wealthy, you have to have a degree of selflessness. Now, can you be selfless and self-serving at the same time? Sure. Because most people wouldn't continue serving others unless there was some reward for it, unless they were getting something out of it. And that's really the way the entire system is set up. Now, I already know that some people are going to want to argue with me on that. They're going to say that the 1% and the ultra-rich have stolen their money and that they're all greedy and selfish and just want more, etc., etc. Now, some of that is true, not all of it, right? There are exceptions to the rule. In particular, corrupt politicians who get paid off just being who they are because they set policy. Now, for example, Joe Biden being investigated for Ukrainian shakedowns and payoff money. And I'm only using that as an example because that's a current thing. So while there are some exceptions, you aren't one of them. And so it matters not. The vast majority of people, including many of those in the 1%, got their wealth by providing service, not by stealing it. Jeff Bezos, for example, people often accuse him of stealing his wealth. He didn't steal his wealth. How many Amazon packages are delivered every single day? That is service that he is providing to others. Amazon didn't start out that way. They started with books, and then they kept reinvesting and growing their service. Now, I'm no fan of Jeff Bezos, but I'm telling you that people paid him to provide them a service. He didn't sneak into someone's home and take their money. You know, these lies that people tell that the 1% and the ultra-rich are greedy and they're stealing your money is just simply not true. The politicians and the government certainly are, but typically not the business owners. You're paying them to provide you a service. If you want things delivered directly to your door at a quick speed and a reasonable price, that's the service that Amazon provides. And it's not so much the service that he provides as the number of people that he serves. Again, how many packages are delivered every single day? How many people are served every single day? Whereas the poor people, they're not serving anyone. And those who are struggling are merely trying to provide for their own families, let alone trying to serve everyone else. They don't know where to begin. And I've already told you where everything begins again and again. Say it with me. Everything begins in the mind. What's the first thing that you do in magic? You form your intention statement. What's the first thing that you do in business? You form your mission statement. What are the goods or services that you are going to provide? What is the purpose of it? So that's step one, is figuring out what service or goods you're going to provide. How are you best going to serve society? That's the question. And you may need to think on this a bit. What do you enjoy doing? What skills do you have? What is it that you're good at? Most people don't get beyond this first step. You have to have a clear picture and idea of what it is that you're going to be doing, what service that you are going to be providing. Because you don't have a business if you don't know what your business is. So you need to know what you're doing, keeping in mind the fact that the more people that you help, the more people that you serve, the more money you're going to make. Now, most people work a job. Let's say someone works on an assembly line, and they're assembling a piece of every single unit that business manufactures. And then those units go out to where the population can purchase them. So that assembly worker is helping a lot of people, right? They're serving so many people. They should be wealthy, correct? Well, the problem with that is the typical job worker doesn't get credited with serving society at large. They're serving the owner. And then the owner is serving society, and the owner gets rich because the owner is paying you to do the work for them. And so the owner gets credit. Now, on the surface, that may seem really unfair to those who are untrained and don't know what money really is. It's often an argument by communists that the worker should own the means of production and not the owner. But the problem with that is the owner is the one who put up all the money and assumed all the risks. If things go wrong for the company, it's on the owner. So the communist workers want to reap the rewards without taking on the risk. So if something goes wrong with the company, it's not coming out of their pocket, but they want all the reward when things are good for the company. That's a pretty raw deal for the owner who starts the company, so without the owner, you wouldn't have a company. I know it's a popular opinion to view corporations and companies as bad or evil, but it's those companies and corporations that provide jobs for the 99%. Most people would be unemployed without them. Now, the good news is that everything an owner of a company does, you can do as well, which leads us to another thing that you've been told that's completely backwards, is that you have to be rich to have a company. And that's simply not true. One can file for a sole proprietorship for less than $100. They get paid under that to form Mine and Magick LLC. So it doesn't take a lot of money to have a business. Most businesses are small businesses. People like you and me who ask the question, how can I best serve society and earn a living from it? If you can answer that question, the hardest part is over. Getting past step one is always the most difficult. Because truth be told, most people don't know what it is they would want to do. They don't know what service they would provide. That's why you really have to think about it, meditate on it, take inventory of your resources and your skills, and answer that question as honestly as you can. From there, you file your business with the state. You can go to a small local attorney and have that done. You most likely will be required to collect sales tax, so you have to get that set up. Get a tax person, because when you're in business for yourself, you'll be paying quarterly instead of every year. If you move to a sole proprietorship to an S Corp, for example, you may want to find a tax person who also does payroll. For years, I was a sole proprietorship, but I was also paying an extra 15% self-employment tax. So then I reformed into an S Corp where I'm an employee of the company, which saves me that self-employment tax. And with those minor legal inconveniences out of the way, you're now free to just do business and serve others and reap the rewards. It's not that difficult to start, own, and run a business. It really isn't. It's more time-consuming than difficult. And unfortunately, that is something that keeps people stuck in their jobs, is that they simply don't have the time to start and run a business on top of everything else. At least that's what they tell themselves. Because it's only really true if you've put down all your other distractions and you still don't have time. You know, my brother, for example, just recently went through a divorce and has joint custody of his 3 kids. has started complaining how expensive everything is since the divorce. And I've even had his creditors calling me looking for him. Chooses to work the same job that he has for many years, even though companies are hurting for workers and he can get a job almost anywhere. If you want to improve your situation, you have to put in the time to look for something better. I'm always pitching him ideas. I recently got a 3D printer because for the price that somebody was selling 3D prints, I could just buy a printer and print my own. But it gave me the idea that could be a good home-based business for him. I pitched the idea to him, and he wasn't interested. Oh, well, he didn't want to get into that. And if he don't want to get into it, then I'm not buying him a printer. Because the man who says he will succeed and the man who says he will fail are both right. His lack of interest told me that even if I did purchase him a printer and jumpstart a little home-based business, that he wouldn't do anything with it. But you know what he will do? You know what he will put the time in? He'll put hundreds of hours into his video games. He's been playing Fallout 4 for years. Probably well over 1,000 hours by now, at least. That may be a conservative estimate. And now that the new Bethesda Starfield game's about ready to come out, I'll probably never see him again. It's going to be taking up all his waking time. How you choose to spend your time will have a direct effect on the amount of money that you earn. Even for someone like me whose business is mostly automated, if I don't put out videos every week, sales will dry up because out of sight, out of mind. So a lot of the entertainment and distractions keep people from being rich. Because if you're willing to put time into video games and TV, but not your own business, then you really don't have any legitimate complaints about money. Because you could improve your situation, but you choose not to. But for those who do wish to improve, I hope this video gives you a better idea of money and how to get more of it. Because what we're really doing when we have our own business is we're opening up an avenue, a channel, if you will, for our magic to work through. When you don't have your own business or businesses and you do a money spell, you're typically only going to get trickles of money here and there. And if you do get something large, it may be through an inheritance and somebody has to die for it because you had no other avenues open to the magic working. Or you find $20 in a parking lot or something. Or the bank made an error in your favor. But little dribs and drabs. When you have a business, now you have a very large channel for money to come through with your magic. So I want you to think of it like that money is a representation of the service that we provide to others, and that our business is an avenue for which our money and magic can flow through. And if you enjoyed this talk and want to learn more, The Laws of Riches is now going to be on sale for 30% off through this video only. The link will be in the video and in the description. The Laws of Riches is the series that's going to take you from being broke to not having to worry about money. It's called The Laws of Riches because becoming rich is an exact science. There's a formula to it. Simply put, rich people think and do things differently than poor people.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
And so it stands to reason that if you start thinking and doing as they do, then you'll also start getting similar results. We're going to be going over investing, having multiple sources of income instead of just having a job, assets and liabilities, leveraging debt, avoiding inflation, the law of compensation, how much you earn is going to be determined by this formula, passive income, how to earn money while you sleep, and much, much more. You'll be getting a lesson per week for an entire year when you sign up. You can get The Laws of Riches and other Mind and Magic programs over at mindandmagic.com today.
Pleased to meet you, and I hope you guess my name.
Once again, Laws of Magic will be on sale through this video only. 30% off. It's a great deal. You could also head over to mindandmagic.com and enter the code MONEY when subscribing for that 30% off. Once you learn the laws of riches, know what money is and how it works, you'll be able to attract it far easier. This is Frater Xavier from Mind and Magic, and I'll see you soon. Take care.